This next point is very good, and it's really the dark side of knowledge. And I've been thinking of actually making some kind of channel or some kind of way of branding videos as being, either like secret or dark side knowledge of some kind, some way of putting that in the sense of this stuff is powerful and it's not maybe shouldn't be public. Anyways, um, it may be a way of branding videos so they get more views, but so let me get into it now. This is on page 39. So he's talking about essentially he's talking about the communist movement here, but it could be really any big political movement. And what they do essentially is they disrupt group affiliations, autonomize everybody, and then regroup them to control them. So let me go through a few of what Hoffer says, and then I'll talk about it. So on the top of page 39, he says, a member of a compact group has a higher revolting point than an autonomous individual. So let me just stop for a second. Revolting point. Think of melting point or boiling point. So a person in a group has a higher revolting point, meaning it takes more to get him to revolt, versus an autonomous individual. So an autonomous individual will require less to revolt than someone in a group. So let me continue. It requires more misery and personal humiliation to goad him to revolt. The cause of revolution in a totalitarian society is usually a weakening of the totalitarian framework rather than resentment against oppression and distress. So what it's saying is that when you see revolts of masses, it tends less to be the case that these people are upset. It's more the case that what was binding them previously has failed or has weakened, and that they're essentially been released. Their cages were broken in some way or damaged in some way, and now they're released. It's not so much that people just get angry. It's that what bound them before has weakened. So let me continue now with Hoffer. So this is on the bottom of 39. He says, in the rest of the world where communism is still a struggling movement, it does all it can to disrupt the family and discredit national, racial, and religious ties. So this is the strategy of giant political movements. They'll look at various groups, and various groups stabilize society. So it mentions family, nation, race, religion. Communism, but again, you can take any massive group. You can take environmentalists. There's all kinds of examples of various large political groups. What they attempt to do is they attempt to disrupt already present and somewhat institutionalized groups and affiliations. They try to break you away from those groups so that you're now an individual and you're less tied to those groups. You have less loyalty or less affiliation with those groups. Now you're an individual, and now remember what Hoffer said about individuals having a lower revolting point. So if you become an individual and you've been kind of ripped away from those groups, now you're more pissed off because now you've been separated from your groups, and now you're more ripe to be reintegrated. So then what they do is those individuals that are now disaffected, then they regroup you in their webs. They put you into new ties and new associations. So if it's communist, then it'll be communist associations or some kind of brotherhood or something like that. I'm sure religious groups do the same kind of thing too. Or cults, they do the same kind of thing. They attack your present affiliations, they criticize them, they try to get you to get out of those groups, and then they regroup you with their own brands to try to control you again, because they don't want to leave you as a frantic individual, because they have, as Hoffer says, low revolting points. They want to reinstitutionalize you. Okay, so one more piece from Hoffer on this point. So this is on page 40 now. He says, almost all our contemporary movements showed in their early stages a hostile attitude toward the family and did all they could to discredit and disrupt it. So it's just kind of the same point. So we're breaking down these affiliations in order to reinstitutionalize you into new groups that will then calm you down and put you in the new, whatever the new thing is, whatever they're trying to do. So there's some more dark tactics of various groups to control people.